I'm sitting here with the designers behind Heart and Bone Signs and the preservationists behind Chicago Sign Museum, Kelsey and Andrew. Thank you for meeting with me today.
Thanks for having us.
So first I want to talk to you guys about Heart and Bone Signs. How did you get interested in traditional sign painting, and what led you to start Heart and Bone Signs?
We fell in love with signs by just living and working in Chicago and seeing all of the beautiful signs around town. This would have been about 15 years ago. And we became enamored with the gold leaf signs that the city is known for. And we were really curious about how they were made, and they seemed very magical to us. And one day we noticed that there was a little signature on one of the signs, and Kelsey did a little bit of research and figured out who it was, and we were able to get a hold of them and just had really lucky timing. They had been doing it in the city for about 40 years, and they were interested in teaching someone else how to do it. They were concerned that nobody was going to come in and take up that work, and we were very eager to learn, and we also just connected well on a personal level, and that was about 15 years ago or so, and now one of the best friends we've made in Chicago is a 74-year-old Italian man.
Love it. So is he still doing signs now, or did he retire?
Yeah, he's retired now, so we still work together sometimes, but for the most part, he just plays bocce ball now.
Oh, yeah. That sounds like my family. So would you guys say that vinyl and digital print are the more common version of window signs right now? And if so, how common were hand-painted signs, a craft like that, back in the day, I guess?
I would say that the digitally printed signs and vinyl signs are most definitely the most common types of window graphics that you see around. In the scale of time, as far as how long there's been businesses with windows, hand-painted signs have definitely existed far longer. The advent of digital printing and of vinyl graphics cutting technology really didn't become mainstream or widespread until the late 80s. And once that happened, it really changed the sign industry almost overnight. And that happened in two ways. One was suddenly there was this product that anyone could buy and suddenly be making signs. And so there was a huge loss of the design element of sign making, because all of a sudden anybody with some money was able to get one of these machines and start slapping stickers on people's windows. And so the people who had been painting signs already, and the shops that had been working and making beautifully designed signs for decades, all just were worried about being left behind, so they all adopted the technology as well, and the design aspect really got left behind.
What types of businesses are primarily contacting you guys to do these signs for them?
All kinds of businesses. We work with a lot of small businesses. We also work with homeowners. So we do a lot of gold leaf transoms, traditional gold leaf transoms, and condo associations, things like that. Because Chicago has such beautiful architecture, people really like to honor the architecture with an appropriate style transom. And we also restore them, things like that. But we work with really large corporations, as well as lots of small independent businesses. We really do a variety of all types of work, from large scale signs on rooftops to tiny little, lettering on doors.
And do you feel like you guys are overly busy at this point? Like, do you have to turn people down? How are things going?
Right now we are definitely really busy, but we try our hardest to work with anybody who's interested. I think one of our ethos is to make beautiful signs that are accessible and affordable for anybody who is interested in what we are doing.
Are you guys planning to teach other people your craft?
We have in the past, and we like doing workshops and teaching people about sign making and how to do hand lettering. We haven't been doing that as much lately just because we've been so busy with client work. But people who are interested in learning, we're always happy to talk to them. And if we can't specifically take them on to instruct them, we can point them in a good direction of places that they could go to learn.
When you're creating hand-painted signs, what tools and techniques do you guys use that might surprise people?
Well, a lot of the tools we use are, I would say, old world technology. I mean, a lot of it is about spacing and letter forms. So, simple tools like rulers and pencils, specific cleaning products. And I guess maybe the most interesting would be gold leaf, which is hand-beaten, very thin sheets of gold that we apply with essentially it's called a tip, which is made out of squirrel hair. Oh. So just really weird, interesting tools, but a lot of it is very simple, really.
So one of the things that first made me really connect with what you're doing are I had seen the grocery store signs. So when I was a kid, my great-grandma worked at the Jewel, and just growing up around here, the grocery stores would always have these signs in the window with a certain font, which I always found interesting because did they hire somebody to do all the grocery store signs, or did everybody just kind of get the same font figured out and the yellow highlighter? So I wanted to ask you guys, what drew you to doing those, and did they have those signs where you grew up in Colorado? Is that a national thing? I've just always found that so interesting.
Well, it is really interesting in Chicago. There's definitely a style. And a lot of them in the city are made in-house. There's a person in the store that makes them. When we make them, we reference the Chicago style, which is a look that is more contemporary, or it falls within design developed in the 1960s. And I think Chicago just made its own kind of funky, fresh style with its own specific colors. But there are people who specifically specialize in that, and they'll a lot of times they are in a grocery store that they work in. And so that's actually one thing that we are researching through the Sign Museum effort, is to kind of document the Chicago style of paper signs before they just start disappearing. Yeah.
And so are people hiring you from grocery stores to make these signs, or is that what you've been making them for, or is that more just an art, a thing for the art?
I say it really runs the gamut. Sometimes people want a grocery store style sign as an art piece, and so we'll make that for them. Oftentimes it is literally for a grocery store around the corner from our shop. There's this awesome Pakistani guy who runs just a small grocery store, and we're always painting him new signs to put in the window, advertising whatever it may be, whether it's goat or eggs or chickens.
So when people see your hand-painted signs in the windows or the grocery store signs, I feel like it resonates and it creates a sense of nostalgia. Why do you think this resonates with people so strongly?
One of the reasons, great question. One of the reasons is that things have become so computerized, and technology has stripped away so much of the authenticity of our neighborhoods, and especially of just the visual typography vernacular of the city, which can really vary from place to place. But for the gold leaf sign specifically, there's a history of gold leaf in Chicago that goes all the way back to the 1800s. And there's a specific type of application of gold, which I'm sure most of the viewers would be familiar with, where it's kind of a faceted, convex face. So there's kind of a matte side and a mirror side, and they have a dimensionality to them. And so that style of gold leaf is called Chicago style because it was popularized here at the turn of the century. And so whether you're in Chicago or you're in New York or you're in Paris or anywhere else, that type of work is called Chicago style. And I think people are really drawn to gold leaf signs, especially because people are attracted to shiny things. And I think there's a element in our brain where, from our way back in the cave times brain, where we're attracted to little shiny things because I think we're always on the lookout for water. So you would notice a little glimmer on the horizon and go search for water. So I think there's just some animal instinct in our brain that makes us attracted to shiny stuff that we see.
What do you think makes Chicago such a great city for sign painting and graphic traditions?
Chicago has a really rich and vibrant history of design and sign making, and that a lot of people aren't really aware of it. I think because there's been so much development over the years, a lot of our sign history has kind of disappeared. But really, during the mid-century, Chicago was growing really rapidly, and sign shops specifically were moving really, really fast and were super competitive, and they were coming up with like really amazing, interesting new design techniques. So Chicago and the sign industry is really known to be a really important player in sign design. And so the book we wrote is actually a lot about that. One of the sign companies that developed a very specific type of sign layout that was kind of adapted by other sign shops around the country. And people from around the country would come to this sign shop to learn from these designers, and then they'd go off and they'd start their businesses in other cities, namely Los Angeles. So a lot of the really amazing mid-century design in LA, those designers studied in Chicago. So I think although, it's changed so much since the 1960s, there's still like little hints of that design history still around. And I think it's part of our memories and the fabric of our neighborhoods that we identify through the grocery signs or the neon or the hand-painted signs, the gold leaf. I think Chicagoans really love that part of our history.
Yeah.